What's up everybody, Bootsy Greenwood here, and today I want to do just a quick video about the idea of advantage. The advantage principle, or the idea that everything is actively working toward your advantage. This is a common idea not only in reality transurfing, but in many other methods. And in particular, this one very intriguing book called Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. Fascinating. I actually did a whole series on the principles and laws in Napoleon Hill's book here on the channel. I'll link it here. And there's some very valuable insight in that book. It's also quite the page turner. If you've never read it before, I couldn't recommend it enough because Napoleon Hill claims to have had a conversation with the devil himself. And frankly, it's kind of believable. Which is interesting. If you're interested in learning the reality transurfing principles, I have made a summary summarizing the concepts, saving you about 25 hours or so worth of reading, and distilled that down to about 3 hours. Still recommend reading the whole entire book, but if you want to read a good synopsis, get the main ideas, and a little bit of insight into them, a little bit of a interpretation as well. Check that out. It's in my website link in the store on my website as well as on the front page. Give it a shot. Check it out. There's an audio version and an ebook as well. Now, I want to talk today about the advantage principle specifically and a little tweak that you can add to it. Now, to skip ahead a little bit in Vadim's series is a book called Tufti the Priestess. And this is a channeled book as well, where Tufti the Priestess claims to be this goddess who gives us basically an instruction manual as to how to navigate reality. She says you've never had an instruction manual, but this is one. Now, I beg to differ. I think we've had many instruction manuals. We've often had hard times interpreting them. But what she says ultimately in that book, and if you are strong enough to accept this, it is a hard pill to swallow, but it can absolutely 1000% change your life. And what she says is that we're snails, basically, essentially, that we're trained to react to things. Oh, this is bad. Oh, this is good. Oh, this is bad. Oh, this is good. But that ultimately, overall, these small good and bad experiences that we're having are ultimately leading toward our good if we can continue to maintain that attitude. Now, again, hard pill to swallow because, well, who can prove that, right? Like, how do you actually prove it? The only way to prove it is experientially by actively trying it out for yourself. And so I made this very simple, easy to see graph here. And what Vadim says in the Heart and Mind chapter is that our attitude basically affects our outcome. Okay, so whatever it is that we believe about a situation, we're going to get more of that. Okay, essentially, I can compare this directly to Napoleon Hill's book, at which he says, for every circumstance, there is an equivalent seed of a positive and a negative outcome, and it is up to us to choose. We choose, a very common word in reality transurfing, how things continue to play out. If something bad happens and we react negatively, now all bad things come in threes. Why do they come in threes? Because we think they do. Because of our attitude. Because we think, oh no, this is terrible. Another bad thing is sure to follow. So we begin to actively look into our reality with that reticular activation system and find other negative things to focus on, creating a cascade of negative events within this one unfortunate event. Now, I talked about this a little bit earlier. We're all going to have to go through things as part of being human. Certain things that seem disappointing, certain things that seem like a letdown, etc., and so to speak. Now, what Vadim says to do is to celebrate the good things as well as celebrate the bad things, because both of these things are actively moving us toward our goal, whether we know it or not. And that's what Tufti's saying. Look, dude, your view is so myopic that you can't even understand everything that's going on around you, your brain is so tiny and pathetic, like a snail's in comparison to a goddess, that you can't even understand how things are actively working out toward your advantage. But if you would just, take a deep breath, relax, and instead of getting all angry and pissed off, accept it as an advantage and continue to move forward towards your goal. What we should really celebrate, folks, is not the outcome, but the action itself. Whenever you're pursuing a goal, every action that you're taking to get you toward that goal closer, even if it seems like a perceived failure, you send that message to that person. You interview for that job. You ask that person out. You put yourself out there. You face that rejection if it comes, and you celebrate the action. That can very much help you with this advantage principle, and I'm going to give you one more hack. Like Napoleon Hill said, every consequence or every situation has the equivalent of a positive or a negative outcome depending on how we view and interpret that thing. Okay? But I recently read a book by a guy named Trevor Mawad. The name of the book is It Takes What It Takes, and he's no longer with us. May he rest in peace. But he had some great, valuable insights in that book. Particularly, his model is thinking neutral. So for me, it's kind of a habit that I'm trying to implement in my life, where instead of reacting negatively to perceived negative consequences or outcomes, I am trying to learn to perceive those as positive and celebrate those things. Oh no, I dropped the dish towel. Damn it, right? Like, why is that so embedded? It's not a big deal. We dropped the dish towel, right? Yay, I dropped the dish towel. Very counterintuitive, okay? Very difficult to get to. And what I would say is, it's almost impossible to jump directly from damn it to yay, right? Like that just is funky. But what if we add a third option, which is just neutrality here, okay? Neutrality, thinking neutral. So in order for us to progress to the point where we can perceive these events as positive and basically be like, oh, this thing happened. Yay! My tire blew. Yay! Like whatever that silly little thing is that we could potentially celebrate, even though it's a negative outcome or a negative consequence or a situation, what have you. If we can learn to change our frame of mind and open it up in that moment, seeing that, hey, regardless of what happens, ultimately, every step that I take is leading me towards my goals. I'm grateful for whatever comes next. If that's, getting fired from your job or being in the rain without an umbrella, and another thing I want to say too is like, even if you do initially react negatively, you still have plenty of buffer time to sort of just be like, okay, well, you know what? I'm going to reframe this. I'm going to look at this in a different way. And then all of a sudden, boom, you're adjusted, Just because you reacted at the first part doesn't mean your fate is doomed, Your fate is sealed, so to speak. Like recently I had an idea and I pitched it to someone and I said, hey, what do you think about this? And I was kind of like, pretty invested in the idea, pretty invested in the outcome. I had already thought of logistics, about everything, had all the answers solved, all that stuff. And then it turned out that they went another direction and things didn't work out like I thought. Well, I had put kind of, not too much, but a good bit of emotion into that. I was kind of attached to the outcome. And then when it didn't work out the way that I thought, I was like, damn it, I was frustrated. And at first initially, but then I was able to at least backtrack myself into, hey, look, this isn't necessarily the biggest deal. Don't trip. All is well. Nothing's lost here. In fact, look at the advantage. You went for something that you wanted. You put yourself out there. You pitched something that you thought would be really cool, and you did the action. So because of that, I actually got like even a little bit high off of the failure because I felt so good that I had taken the action and celebrated that. But first I had to move to neutrality first and be like, okay, look, nothing's effed here, dude, as they would say. And then ultimately into positively, okay, great. This particular situation didn't work out. Perhaps there will be something in the future that can be beneficial, that can be a win. And until that happens, I'm just going to continue to take action and stay in my lane and do my work. So Advantage, advantage, advantage. It's simplistic sounding. It's maybe even a little bit absurd sounding. But I challenge you to, instead of reacting negatively, and even if you do at first, shift that negativity into a neutrality, right? And then shift it into a positive. Reframe it. And if it takes a day or 2 days or a week, however long it takes, it doesn't matter. As soon as you reshift and you refocus that consequence as a positive and reframe it that way, it is that way now. So your fate is not sealed just because you reacted a certain way. Continue to rely on the advantage principle. Continue to take every single step towards the mailbox with intention toward your intended outcome. And the process will take care of itself. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this video. Check out my summary. Check us out on the Telegram. Check us out on the Facebook. I'm doing stuff. We're connecting. Let's chat. Say hey to Bootsy. I'm also going to be on tour, so look for me coming through Texas and back, Louisiana, Florida. Come see me. Come say hello. Let's grab a coffee, whatever. Much love. Many blessings. Peace.